Well, welcome to an episode of Real Estate First Technology, sponsored by Liftoff Agent. Make sure you have good gut health with kombucha. No, I'm joking. Not sponsored by this company, but my wife and I drink kombucha every day for good gut health. I'm super excited because today we're going to go to San Diego, California, as last year we were doing an event brought to you by Liftoff Agent called What's Next for Real Estate. And I ended up meeting this individual at a golf tournament. His story is amazing, and what he's done to take care of his family is awesome. And I'm really excited to have him in here today with us. And he have the one and only Diego, all the way from San Diego on the north side. What's going on, man? How's your day?
Good. I'm doing well, Norman. How about yourself?
Oh, man, I'm doing well as well. This week and last week, we have my 5-year-old daughter. She's home from school because she's at a charter school. And so it's kind of like a year-round school.
All right.
So like, let's take 2 weeks off randomly in October. So it's like, all right, so I'm watching her, she's watching her. And it's been one of those interesting parenting, situations, but we're getting through it. It's great. And it's almost over. So we're already at Wednesday. So a couple more days and then it'll be the weekend. And then she starts school back up on Monday, but we're excited to have you, man. The show's all about you, your business. And I got to say, man, your story is awesome. I know a lot of people out there that, maybe have an inspiration or aspiration to purchase their parents a home and help them and serve them and do more than just, pay the bills or buy themselves nice things. And I remember we first met, you just bought your parents a house and that was a huge feat for you. You had a lot of success in the real estate industry, bought them a house, and then it got a little rocky. And then I connected you with Mr. Mark Patson, Porch to kind of help kick things off again. And I was like, we got to get you on the show. So now it's been 1 year later. So let's get caught up, man. What's new? What's going on? Are you still on the team? How's business?
Yeah, sir. Yeah. So it's been a crazy year actually since we've last met. As you mentioned, I wasn't doing too hot. It was my first venture, going quote unquote solo after leaving a previous team because I wanted to try my own hand at it, just see how would I do by myself. And I did all right, But by the time when we met, it was a little rough. I wasn't doing too many deals. I was kind of losing motivation. I was considering, man, should I get another job? Should I do X, Y, Z? And I remember one of the things you told me is like, man, don't get a job. Just keep trying. And you can imagine to Mark Patterson with Porch, and things went really well there. First, it took me a while to get my first couple deals, but with them, I did about 5 at the beginning of the year.
Wow, congratulations.
That really kicked things off. So, no, I really appreciate that. They're a great team. I had a good time there.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And I remember we had that conversation at the end of the day. You're talking about going back in and doing more of like bartending and doing tour. And I remember everything. So you're going to go into that world. And I was just like, man, what are you doing? You got this. You don't have to go back to that world. You can continue to do what you got into the business to do, right? You were inspired and you wanted to do this. And I know right now with the low inventory, high interest rates, this is actually a great podcast for where we're at. I mean, for everyone who's listening and watching right now, we're currently at October 11, 2023. And tell us, where are you at right now with your business? Before we got on air, you already have some things in the works. So how's your business right now?
Yeah, it's been touch and go, but in the last month specifically, it's been popping off again. I got a couple escrows. One's closing today. Another land escrow that should be closing soon. A listing that went live in the Desert Hot Springs, and another one's live next Sunday. So
let's go, dude.
So it comes in waves. I have periods of inactivity. And then you just keep working on it. And I don't know if it's from desperation or necessity. Things start to pile up, and everything tends to happen at the same time. I feel at least.
Yeah, I could definitely understand that as well. Even on the Liftoff Agent side, who sponsors Liftoff Agent, we'll have like 5, 6, 7, 10 at one time. Clients come in, and then it'll be 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then it's like 1 or 2 or none, and then it'll pick back up. And so we're actually also, full transparency, working on scaling our sales division and working on being able to have more predictable analytics to understand what's happening and how can we use these various unique touch points to be able to have predictable, scalable results. So I definitely understand. I think that, everything like comes in waves, just like you think about the ocean, right? Things go in and things come back out. It's a part of the process. But let's talk about, for anyone who's viewing, listening right now, what do you do as far as keeping your mind right and staying in a positive mental headspace when you do have the tide going out and it's not coming
Yeah.
in and you don't have that extra surplus or deal flow like you have right now?
Yeah, that's something that, I personally I don't have the perfect answer for because I struggle
Yeah.
with it to this day. And that's still something that I would say that's my number one problem or just area of weakness when it comes to
Okay.
being consistent is the emotional stability. Because,
Yeah. Yeah.
I get attached to the roller coaster of sales and I know I
Hmm.
shouldn't. So the one thing that I've been learning to do is if I can't think positively, just avoid thinking negatively. Because
I love
when
that.
when you think negatively, I mean, at least for me, you tend to manifest those negative outcomes, and then nobody wants to freaking talk to you, right? Because you just
Yes.
exude that BS. You exude that,
Yes.
stinking thinking, and
I love that. It's so
I think
true.
that's from Ziegler.
Yeah.
Um,
True. I feel like also it's easy to have a tendency as well to like people could smell like commission breath
yeah,
or death,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, Diego, like I like you. What's going on here? Like, why? Like,
Mhm.
what's happening? But no, I like that. I like that a lot. So for viewers and listeners out there, because of this industry, and there could be someone new who's watching or someone who wants to get their real estate license. When there's the peaks and valleys, is it advantageous to have a good nest egg, some savings, so that way you can get through those various times? Or what would you suggest?
Yeah, I definitely, I'm not. It's only been 3 years for me, so this would be like my first kind of ebb.
Okay. Okay.
Right? So, I would say yes, I would have benefited massively if I was a little bit more prepared on the saving side, but I wasn't doing
Yes.
too bad per se, I thankfully have a good support system and, family with me and, I did have a good beginning of the year, so I'm still riding that wave, but absolutely, definitely save up your money because
Yeah.
it does not stay.
Yeah, 100%. I know that statistically, 90% of the business is done by the top 10% of real estate professionals who's ever listening out there.
Mhm.
Even in the state of Arizona, where I'm located, 50% of the agents that are licensed don't even transact. And
Yeah,
with that being the case, the failure rate in the first 5 years for an agent, it could even be the first 3 years, is
yeah,
like an 80% failure rate, right? And I remember when we were talking last year, you were going to potentially be a part of that statistic, and now you said no, I'm going to keep moving forward and you push through that. I just want to put emphasis on that because I think it's very important for anyone who's listening out there
mhm,
right now. And you never know, Diego, who's listening, who's maybe going through the same situation that potentially could be like, wow, like, oh, hold on here. If Diego could do this, I'm going through a hard time right now. I could do this as well. So I just wanted to give you some kudos, man, because I know that it sounds from what I'm understanding is, and for anyone who's out there that has this hard time as well, people don't always like to pat themselves on the back or celebrate or say
yeah,
that they're doing a good job. And I just wanted to say you are doing a good job
I
and you can
appreciate
make a difference. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show.
I appreciate that, but yeah. It's tough when you're in that mindset. I remember, and I recently just went through probably not as bad as it was last year, but through another
Okay.
kind of like, shoot, should I leave?
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like once you stop getting so attached to the outcome, you do so much better.
Mm.
That's when I notice that when I do the best is when I'm not so concerned about, if I convert this client right this second, and
Yeah.
um, it's like what you said, when they don't smell that commission breath, they do so much better because
Yeah.
they feel like you're just treating them like human beings, was what you're doing, when
Yeah.
you stop gamifying it and just start, humanizing the process. I think I've heard the term before used. It works so much better in my experience, at least.
I love that. I love that 100%. And would you agree, anyone who's viewing and listening, do you feel like, you know, are you treating your clients as a transaction or are you treating them a part of your family? Right.
Yeah.
And make it so it's less transactional and more of like, hey, I'm here to serve, I'm here to support. I understand that you're going through this situation, whether it's needing to buy your first home or sell your first home to move up because you have your family or you want to relocate or you want to downsize, whatever the circumstances are, right? I think being that human being first makes a lot of sense. Tell me a little bit about like what is your process of like outreach, marketing, getting your name out there to be able to not make it so like salesy, but you just being you and meeting people.
What's my process in doing so? I've been
Yeah.
doing a lot more social media. Um, I It's tough, but putting myself more on camera, I
Yeah.
haven't
We
done
talked
as
about
much
that.
as I should, but, it's just if I mean, you see all the successful people online, the one thing they have in common is that they put their face on the camera,
Yeah.
and that's a little uncomfortable, but doing that, actually did get a listing from a past client after posting a lot. So, I mean, if it works, it works,
Yeah.
As far as everything else, open houses, very
Okay.
organic. Actually, that's what the listing that's going live next week. I was picking up signs from an open house, and this old dude just invited me into his house, showed me around, and we just nurtured him for a month while he was deciding what to do, and we finally got the listing signed. So,
Wow.
yeah, because I'm not maybe I should be doing it, but I'm not a huge fan of cold calls,
Yeah.
uh, door knocking, all those things. Rejection's tough, and I'm still not used to it. But as far as organic, I would say open houses have been a big one, and social media.
That's huge. That's huge. And I think a lot of people out there, when it's one thing to be a business owner, right? And so you're predicated based off of, energy goes, energy flows. You getting up in the morning and putting a smile on your face and having some type of routine to then, get going and stay going and moving forward. It's not easy, right? I mean, a lot of people out there who's listening or viewing right now might have that issue. And then getting just past part A and B, then you're like, all right, let's start making some calls. And then people are like, no, fuck off. I'm not interested, whatever. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then getting through that, I can 100% attest to that as well. I'm also on my side for Liftoff Agent, who sponsors the show. Always never big on cold calling as well, and bugging people. And yes, can it be done? Of course, right? And I think that if it comes down to it, anyone who's listening and viewing, die or straight, and your family's life depended on it, right? And keeping the roof over your head and feeding your children, or yourself and your family, you're going to do it, right? If you absolutely had to. I remember, Diego, speaking of social media, I was watching your stories a while there. You were doing a lot of kind of showing homes. So you would show the front of the house, you would show a little bit of inside bedrooms, bathrooms, backyards, so on and so forth, which was kind of nice. And you would just take people through tours. And I know a lot of people don't want to be on video, and maybe someone's listening and watching right now, they don't want to be on video, but I love how you would put emphasis on, you're not on video, you're just kind of like behind the phone and you were showing stuff, right, as the narrator. And was that something that helped you be able to bring in some business?
More so just attention, I would say, activity to show that I'm still active, because I feel like that's part of the game too, just to show the world, that you're still active and doing stuff. I would more so use that as just a way to kind of get myself to the point where I would feel comfortable in camera. It's like baby steps, you
I
know.
love it.
And lately, I'm trying to do more video. We did a listing video yesterday where the
Congrats.
camera guy, it's probably gonna be awkward and uncomfortable, but whatever, so everyone starts somewhere. So
Yeah, I remember you were doing the video that was showcasing the story behind buying the house for your family. And I remember when we met last year, that
yeah.
was something that we were checking out and looking at and going over, which was really cool. And I know we talked about that. I was doing short form content at the golf course, and shout out, what is that, YPN out there in San Diego, California.
Right.
And yeah, it's definitely a process. I'm glad that you're still thinking about that process. And that's where a lot of people, what we've been pushing on the sponsor side for Liftoff, to sponsor the show, is YouTube and passive prospecting and passive marketing, and putting your face out there and talking about the schools, the parks, the restaurants of San Diego, and then also going deeper with, also maybe a type of buyer, type of seller that would want to buy or sell a home within, San Diego, and maybe some of the reasons why they would want to do as such. So video is awesome. And I'm seeing little by little you're getting out there. But what would you say, and this could be something that viewers and listeners are going through as well, what would be something kind of holding you back on video? What do you think something that you're trying to overcome?
I would say just not self-esteem, but more so just confidence in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Feel like I'll say the wrong thing or I'll look weird. That feeling you always hear yourself on a recording. It's like, man, I sound dumb.
Yeah.
That kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But I would say, yeah, it's mostly just that, self-image stuff.
For
But something
sure.
like this, you do something like this in your podcast, it's normal. It feels fine, So
Yeah,
I
because
like,
we're just conversating, talking. It's different than, having, an ad imminent. How do you say that? Ad imminent, like an object that's not like
yes,
a human
inanimate,
being.
yeah, phone.
Yeah.
And it's easier when there's someone else. I've noticed too. You overthink it when you're just staring into a ring light and a camera.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, 100%. I think one thing that has helped me, for anyone who's listening out there and viewing on YouTube, is that I'll have a demo, like meet a strategy session, or I'll have a podcast, or I'll be talking to someone on the team, and something will come up and it will give me that inspiration. And what I've been learning to do more so is, like, as soon as I have that inspirational moment of an idea that pops in my head of a video that I want to put out there, like, of course, like, being consistent with stories, being consistent with YouTube and putting videos out there and having maybe more of a standard operating procedure is great. But then if you have one of those aha moments, I feel like that's when I'm learning to lean more into it and kind of come off the cuff, because for some reason, one way or another, universe, God, Allah, whatever you believe, I feel like there's energy or there's thoughts that come into our existence and into our heads, and it's like we either can like move towards that if it's something positive, of course, right? If it's negative, maybe repel that, but, right? But if it's something positive, it's like, all right, like, what is it that you're trying to tell me, or what is it that I'm supposed to do? And so right before our podcast, I took a lunch, and before the lunch, I did a post because I just was inspired to do a video that was like, hey, does this sound like your business? And if it does, like, Liftoff Agent can help you with your business. And we do, the things that we just discussed based off of Is This Your Business? So that's something that's been coming up for me. That's been fun. Just something that kind of helps me just think to myself, like, all right, there's this coming up for me. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. 100%. So I love that. I love that. So as far as now, you went from Mark Patterson's team. Now you're on a team that's closer to where you're located.
Right.
You went solo. Would you recommend being on a team? Is that something that helps deal flow?
Absolutely. Yes.
It does.
Yeah. I would say, the right team, especially if you have people who are supporting you, and of course that you're willing to be supported, is the other thing.
Yeah.
If you have a big ego about it, it's like, man, why am I, doing this split or X, you can get resentful about it. But if you have the right mindset about it and realize you just want to learn, I think the team is 100% the way to go as a new agent, because when you're by yourself, you just don't know shit,
100%.
especially when you're first starting, when you're first starting, you don't know what deals look like. You don't know what to do. You don't know what the etiquette is. Right. So definitely latching onto a producing team, right? Not just any team. If you're with a team that doesn't produce, then it might as well be on your own, because you're learning all the bad stuff. But for a team that produces, you learn the mindset, the habits, the positivity, the things that people tell themselves, the things that they do, and you just tend to pick it up. There's only one way really to do business, and good teams usually hone in on that in their own style.
Yeah.
So I would say yes.
Sure. I love that. What's that saying? They say that like proximity, like you're no different as far as like, the 5 people that you hang out with the most. And so that's where I feel like one hack for me and anyone who's listening, I love like hacking social media. And so everything from podcasts, let's go, Real Estate First Tech, subscribe, notification bell, podcasts to books to YouTube videos to people on social media. I always make sure that my activity feed is just feature rich with just people that are inspirational, motivational, and then getting into those rooms and going to those events around people that are going to be bigger than me, right? And wanting to always push upon that. So that's something that just you sparked in me that I was thinking about. That I thought was great to take in consideration for anyone who's out there listening and viewing the show.
Yeah. No, definitely a team is good stuff. Any place, any way you can get it with people who are doing the right things, and how you know if they're doing the right things? Well, are they living the kind of life that you want to live? That's 100%. The number one criteria.
I love that. I love that. So, question for you when it comes to kind of goal setting, like, do you do any type of goal setting? Because you said earlier in the show, you talked about the fact that you said, all right, well, getting past the outcome and not having the commission breath and just being there to serve. Now, do you have an overall goal, like 12, 24, 36 families, 12 months? Is there something that you have set up for yourself? Is there something in front of you, a board or something that you kind of look at, or how do you?
Not really. And I know I should be. That would probably increase my output by a lot. I usually just take it day by day and just to see like what opportunities I have, how can I maximize those. But I would say, I should be doing something like that. I do have a money goal in mind of a certain income per month, because, now that we have the house, I got to make X amount to retire my parents. That's what's next. So I
Ah,
guess overarching goals like that, or having enough money to, I want to be able to have a wife and kids someday, stuff like that.
yes.
Nobody wants to be with the broke boy, so
I love that. I love that. That's
yeah,
awesome. Awesome.
your
And
life goes better.
I think that's totally fine. At the end of the day, I feel like, having, Harry, what are they called? Harry audacious goals. Like, it's great to have like a goal as far as like you want to help 24,
Mhm.
36, how many
Mhm.
families. And of course, if you have a money goal, right, you can reverse engineer that money goal as well. So if you say,
Mhm.
hey, I'm looking to achieve whatever, 100,000 a month first per se, right? Well, then how many homes do you need to sell, right? And then 3 to 6% commission, broker's fees, blah, blah, blah. What is left over? But at the end of the day, I think that as long as you're happy and you know that, like, hey, I want to retire my parents, I know that I need this type of income to do as such,
Mhm.
right? And it sounds like you kind of like pressure. I mean, you bought your parents a house, right? And now you got the mortgage, right? And then you want to retire them. So that's going to give you even more pressure. So
Yeah.
it seems like you're setting up yourself with lots of pressure. And I would assume that that's to help you become and stay more motivated. Does this pressure help you stay motivated? Is that one of your driving forces?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's healthy, I wouldn't say it's a recommended thing to do. 'Cause it's either, it's like either, 100% or 0. That's the
Yeah.
it's do or die, and that can be a useful mentality, but, when it doesn't work out, it can also be very, I don't wanna say toxic, that's a very loaded word, but it can
Yeah.
be very, very debilitating on your spirit if it's not working out.
Yeah. 100%. And out there, would you agree, whoever's listening and watching right now, would love to get your feedback in regards to the fact that you feel like that's something, if you have too much pressure, could that
Mhm.
also have reverse effects, if you will, on that process of trying to stay motivated and stay grinding when it's just like, I honestly feel like too, a big thing, Diego, is that if you do put too much pressure on your back, that also could be crippling because
Mhm.
the fact that you're like, oh my God, I have A, B, C, D. Can I do this? I don't know. You're feeling a certain type of way about all the things, right? I think that could also be something that could be challenging, right? At the
Mhm.
end of the day. So, and for anyone who's viewing and listening, so I know I like that though. Overall, I think that's something to take in consideration, both sides.
Mhm.
I love that. I love that. So, as we get closer to the end of the show, we'd love to have you back on and see how things are going for your business and. Appreciate you being on. Of course, for all the viewers and listeners out there, links are down below. Check out Diego because at the end of the day, he's where a lot of people could be today, where they could be going through. And I feel like I love having different guests because I want to have diversity.
Mhm.
Everyone's going through different things in their lives. And your story, Diego, I think could inspire someone to push further, strive for more and potentially buy their own family a house, which is super cool.
Yes.
So, from the past 3 years, everything that you've gone through, is there anything you want to leave for the viewers and listeners that someone who either wants to get their real estate license or someone that now just got their license and they're like banging their head against the wall? They have the self-limiting beliefs, and should they go back to work or should they continue in the real estate side of things? And what's some of your advice from where you're at 3 years in?
Yeah. No, I would say it's important to be realistic, if you can't pay your bills and maintain your house, you do what you gotta do, but, keep trying and avoid being resentful of maybe your own lack of success, maybe of other people's success. I feel like that's really where a lot of the negative thinking comes from, is when you start to resent yourself and other people for what you do or don't have. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and just, start attaching yourself to successful thoughts and ideas wherever they may come from, whether it be people or videos or YouTube, videos or whatever, TikToks, anything that just makes you feel less shitty. You know, if you can't be positive, just avoid feeling shitty about yourself. And I feel like that's been the number one thing that's held me back. So I feel like if I could tell myself when I was younger these things and listen to myself, I totally would.
I love that, man. That's super awesome and very helpful. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us because at the end of
Mhm.
the day, this is why we like to have everything from coaches, real estate professionals, technology providers, top coaches, top
Mhm.
real estate professionals newer in the business, so we can be able to deep dive, be a resource, serve this community, help, give back. Go follow Diego. Go check him out. Follow Diego. go send him a DM and give him your feedback on the podcast and what you thought about that. Because I think that this definitely, even if it just serves one person, Diego, I think we've done our job. Just one, right?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Right?
Really.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you back on the show. Looking forward to more videos. I see your backdrop there. It looks like a great backdrop for videos.
Yeah. Wallpaper. I need to use it more.
I see that. So hopefully in the weeks to come, I got your Instagram over here, and I'll be checking you out and following and whatnot. And it's funny, you have 707 followers, and for some reason, 707 followers, and for some reason, true story. I'll leave our show off with this. I always see like 707, 703, 702, 747, but I always see like sevens in pairs with like, the center number could be whatever. But I was looking over here at 707 for followers on your Instagram page, and it just gives me, I feel like that's my angel number. And I just feel like it gives me more clarity. And for me, seeing that before we were on the show today was like, this is supposed to happen. So I appreciate you being on, man. Want to wish you massive success, and thanks so much for your time, bro.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Norma. It was a pleasure.
Of course, man. Always looking forward to catching up with you, seeing what you're up to. We'll get you back on the show. And to all of our viewers and listeners, it is our intention for you to take things from our episodes to apply to your business, have more massive success. So if you do us a favor, if you found value, subscribe, notification bell. Every Friday, new episodes come live, and we'll see you all on the next one.